What did I learn? I learned to be patient. It was at a time when a job I was in, I was about to lose it, and I was concerned about what my next move would be, but I was patient about it, thought about it, and I was fortunate. I had the support of my good wife. I learned that it was good to have a good woman in your life to offer support, emotional support, because what was happening had never happened to me before. Another situation arose for me professionally, and I was off and running again. So, but it was a period where I was really concerned about what the heck I was going to do. You got a ways to go on that one, but if you get into your early 50s, when you've been doing a job for a number of years, and then you suddenly find it's no longer there, and you think, God, who's going to employ me, you know? But I think, you know, I've read a lot. Anyway, it was, so that was a good moment, and I was pleased that I had a good woman by my side.
Patience, endurance, not to let your emotions run your decision making. Sometimes you get a little hot-headed and say things that you shouldn't say. So sometimes it's best to walk away from a situation, come back when you're calm. And I'm still working on that, anger issues. It was a dark time, but I made it through.
The thing I learned was responsibility. The hardest time of my life was 1 year, my first year of college. I went to military college, and that was a shock to me, coming from my home environment to a military environment, where I was along with my other classmates, we were degraded every day on a regular basis. They want to break you down as individuals and build you up as a group, and they did. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done, and I wouldn't take $1 million to do it again, but I wouldn't take $1 million for having done it. So that was an experience I think of in response to that question.
Where to put your foundation? It was actually probably last summer, very close to my family, and my parents got separated, and that was obviously very hard, put me in a bad spot, but learned where my foundation was, and that was in my faith. And, you know, not to put it in people and families and all that, because that can change, that's variable, but my faith is solid. Put your foundation in something solid, so.
It was not easy learning electronics and learning how to repair electronic stuff. And then I got my pilot's license down the road. That wasn't easy, so I got that. Learning how to respect your wife and have a good relationship. Oh yeah. It's you figure life out every day. There's something new that you got to learn about, deal with. I got a grandchild, and when I get on the phone or something, I can't figure out because it's your phone. I ask her, and she's got it just like that, you know. So they know how to handle stuff like that. So it's good to have a backup.
It's one of those sort of truths that people talk about, but the hardest time of my life was probably also one of the best times of my life. And the reason why is because it was like when I left the house, and I had people around me they had expectations of what I would go out and do in college or whatever, and I had no idea. I really goofed off a lot with friends, but really connected with friends and stuff too. And I think the thing I learned from that is just like that the happiness was really right there with me, and being around these people and making these connections. And I was thinking that it was supposed to be something that I was gonna decide I was gonna do finally, or I was gonna stop goofing off and go be happy by doing what everybody expected of me. But it was actually happening at that time. So
when I had a 4-year tour with my husband in Germany, because he's Air Force in the military, it was a very hard time for me, being away from all of my family and friends. What I learned is that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I actually became stronger because of all the challenges that I faced when I was there. So I learned that I'm stronger, and I'm stronger than I gave myself credit for, I think. I guess it was not being around family, not being around any friends. I mean, I kind of always been, especially with my faith, we had a community of believers. I've been around a lot of people for a long time that I love and they loved me and I cared about them. But I think being away from all of that and being in a different country, not knowing the language, different people, it was just very hard. And my children were very young also, so I had like 3 small ones. They were stair steppers and 2 in diapers. So it was a very, very, very rough time. I mean, just getting through that part with the children was one, but doing it without a good support system. And I think I found my strength along the way, but I just didn't feel that I was strong enough to get through it. Of course, with my faith, and I did. I prayed a lot, I cried a lot, but I got through it.
That you are stronger than you think you are. So had a rough go after graduating college, moved multiple states away from where I'd grown up and anybody else I had known. Through getting physical toughness, I was able to slowly give myself mental toughness. And I literally did it through running a marathon, running a half Ironman, and then doing an ultra marathon that was a 72 miler. And so slowly, by going and doing those physical things that were difficult, it gave me a certain degree of mental toughness. But I will admit, similar to the last question, it actually was through my neighbor and stuff like that I will say that I won't say fully bloomed, but emerged more out of my shell and matured, as I was saying, since I consider myself a late bloomer.
You can answer that one
No,
first.
you can go first.
That the sun's always gonna rise the next day, and to not really get so down on yourself. I mean, probably the toughest time I've ever had was being in the mental hospital for depression, and I learned, other people are going through things that are, I wouldn't say worse because I don't want to compare struggles at all, but at least I'm able to get up and move my body and just having that type of gratitude rather than
Being ungrateful?
being ungrateful, focusing on the small things. Like today, I'm gonna go home and make a nice smoothie that's gonna fuel my body. Just focusing on the smaller things rather than the bigger things in life. I'm not in my dream career right now where I don't have my dream house, but that's okay because the little things are building up to those big things, and we have to appreciate those.
I think for me, just that life goes on. No matter what happens, life just keeps going on normally for the majority of things. And usually the big things work out if you put enough time and effort into things. I think most things generally find a way to work themselves out.
That's kind of the same concept I had, the sun's still gonna rise.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Brian, what's up? That I'm capable of more than I realize, that my body and my mind are stronger than sometimes I'm aware of, and to give myself permission to stretch and grow, and also to give self permission to pull back from stretching and growing when I need to. Life just keeps delivering difficult challenges. So I would say that there have been so many that none are, and they're distinct, but yeah, they just keep rolling, and they're constant because that's life.
Endurance, that I don't have control over everything. Sometimes my best isn't good enough, but you got to try anyway. Eventually you come out of the other side of a tunnel. Involves other people, so I'm not at liberty to share. Sorry. We had some family problems.
Well, one of the things I learned, besides what I've already stated, as far as putting God first, is that God is with us through everything, and that even things that seem bad, God can use them for good if we let Him, and that's the key. We have to be open to letting God guide us to wherever it is He wants us to be in life. They say bad things happen to good people, And that's true. I don't think God makes bad things happen, but I definitely think that's just part of being alive. And whenever bad things happen, if you put your faith in God, that He will help you get through it, that He will do that for you. And sometimes it might be on the other side before things get better, but just having that faith that things will get better because God makes a promise that He's always going to be with us and He'll work all things together for the good of those that love and serve Him. You know, whenever I'm going through a hard time, I try to tell myself that. Life is like a roller coaster. It's up and down all the time. And when you're down, you got to remind yourself it's going to get back up again. And when you're up again, you got to enjoy it while it lasts because you know it's going to get down again. That's just part of life. But eventually get up again, and you just have to kind of roll with it and just try to learn what you can from whatever you're going through. Ask yourself, what is it I can learn from this, and how can I, you know, use this experience either to benefit myself or others.
A lot of things. Like I said, enjoy the outside. Very important. You have to find time for yourself to, you know, go out. You know, I think that's more important to me that, you know, you, even if it's a busy schedule you have, regardless of what you do in your life, you have to have time to enjoy what God has provided for us. There is no struggle. You know, it's always, you don't have to spend all day long. Find 1 hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes. It's worth it.
I probably learned how important family and friends were. The hardest time was probably as my parents grew older and passed, and I realized that I had gone home to visit every chance I got, and so when that was no longer an option, I had a comfort that I hadn't wasted that time.
I learned during the hardest time of my life that I can't just walk through life crawling, I guess. I can't crawl through life. I have to actually get up and run and experience things with a grain of salt, but also in a whole, I guess, how am I trying to explain this? Let me re-say that. Experience life with everything that you want to experience it with, not for anyone else, not for your parents, not for your friends, but for you. What do you want out of life? What do you want to experience when you're 80 years old? What do you want to say that you have done for people and for yourself? I want to be able to say that I have experienced everything, not that I wanted to, but that I was craving.
About 5 years ago, before I met my girlfriend over there, I was sleeping on the street and on the back of friends' truck beds and everything like that. And I realized that it was kind of the lesson that my friend Daryl told me about relationships do matter and your materialistic things. I just learned to just embrace everybody else around me. I don't know, it's so hard to explain, just to love the people and actually care about them. They're not just people, you know? They're really just not, people aren't just people. You burn those bridges and you can't rebuild them. It's hard. It's very hard if you can. It's very hard. It's not about what you know. It's about who you know. People will take you a long way in life. They really will.
Probably that bad things happen, and then like growing up as a kid, I was kind of sheltered, I guess, in some ways, and then you never think bad things happen to you, but at the time my niece overdosed and died, and at the same time, just a month later, I ended up in the mental hospital for the first time. I realized hard that life can be really hard, really fast. The people are struggling out there, and the world isn't all sunshine and rainbows and whatnot. You know, but it can get better. I just try to enjoy the moment, enjoy the people around me more to the fullest. Enjoy good conversation, enjoy my family and friends and their company.
I learned that you always have yourself to count on, and you can do anything hard for 2 minutes as long as you tell yourself just to take it in 2-minute increments or 5-minute increments, whatever it takes to get through the day. You're stronger than you know you are, and you know, having that reliance on yourself is the most important part of being really an adult, living on my own and everything, is knowing that I can do hard things no matter how hard they seem or how impossible they are. You just take it little by little. The hardest time of my life was probably this past year. I was going to paramedic school in Tucson, separated from my family, and was going through a divorce. So didn't really have anyone at first, but I was able to kind of make it through just being strong and relying on myself, and knew that I could do it.
I just went for my 18-month cancer checkup, and I learned to take life one moment at a time, because that's all you can control, is one moment at a time. Before I was diagnosed, it was, what am I going to do next month, next year, 5 years from now, setting goals. And now I just go with the flow because one moment at a time is all I can control. And I spend a lot more time in nature.
That there's always something to be thankful for, even when it's really dark and seems like things are falling apart. There's something you can be thankful for. You have a roof over your head, you have clean water, and when you're in that hard season, if you can go one of two ways. You can look at all the dark, or you can just look for, is there a single tiny blessing today? And then that one blessing leads to another, to another, to another. Just lets you change the lens of the dark into a better future. A divorce. Yeah, I've got a fresh start coming up. So it was a hard season, but I am seeing relationships restored, with family members, and just seeing brighter days ahead.
That I'll survive and that I can rely on my faith to get me through. It's pretty much right now my dad's in a senior care facility, and I'm here because a favorite aunt of mine has passed away, so I'm handling her affairs while in Roanoke. My faith in Jesus Christ has get me through.
That the answer to that last question included the financial challenge of moving here and financial challenges of leaving up there in Northern Virginia, because it was the time that the stock market crashed and homes were not selling. So when we landed here in Roanoke, we were the proud owners of two homes, one up there and one down here. And ministers not earning that much money and that kind of stuff. It was a challenge trying to figure out. So Ann and I, my wife and I, worked 2 jobs apiece or 4 jobs between us to make all that happen. But it was really, really interesting to see in the end that it all just worked out and that we're on solid, say, financial footing anyway. But doing good stuff here in Roanoke. Around troubles in in our world at this point in time.
I think since the kids were young, COVID probably was the hardest time. I think I learned in the first 6 months or so that we were competent enough to get through it, and everything was going to be fine. We could be self-sufficient and everything, there's nothing really to worry about as long as we were careful, and the world wasn't going to end, so it was fine.
To persevere and to keep going, no matter what. Going through a breakup and a divorce.
Understanding and receiving peace, learning how to deal with and accept of being in a peaceful situation through turmoil and strife and